Whether you're in North or South Carolina or anywhere else in the world, enter the Cat Cave with D. White and Shannon Smith, a part of the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Only Network, where you can find shows such as Winning the Division, Inside the Vault, and Believe in Panthers. Welcome back. We are inside the Cat Cave yet again. It is Western North Carolina's own Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty, with the Beast from the Northeast North Carolina, D. White. My brother, what's good, my man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Just staying busy, staying working, enjoying some of this NBA free agency.
Haha, that is right. So, of course, we've had the draft going on. We've had free agency going wild in the NFL, in the NBA. Now, we're going to do a little something different because, we have off season going on in the NBA and also in the NHL. I've got the Hurricane shirt going on here. Let me adjust that so everybody can see because we watch Panthers football and we're about Panthers football, things of that nature. But also, too, we're about all the other Carolina professional sports as well. So, what we're going to do for this episode is D is going to talk a little bit about the Charlotte Hornets. And I'm going to go ahead and go on the hockey side and talk about the Carolina Hurricanes before we get into the Blueprint episode that was just posted at 6 o'clock p.m. on the Carolina Panthers YouTube channel. We've got a lot to unpack when it comes down to it, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to D right here, and let's talk about these Charlotte Hornets. So, D, take it away, my man.
Yeah. So, like you said, free agency. It's been a lot of stuff going on. First off, obviously, Hornets fans, we already know about Mark Williams being traded. He was traded to the Suns for the 29th pick, the rights to Liam McNeely, and a 2029 first-round pick, which is surprising. We're going to think we'd be able to get, one, let alone 2 first-round picks for him. So that's all good. Can't really complain about that. Then after that, we saw Yusuf Nurkic traded to the Jazz for Colin Sexton and a 2030 second-round pick. Now, that's interesting for several reasons. He's still pretty young. He's a combo guard. He's fast. He's dynamic. He should be a good player to, spell LaMelo, spell Brandon when they get tired. So that was surprising. We weren't expecting to get any significant, players back, other than somebody I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Vasilije Micic was traded to the Bucks for Pat Connaughton and a 2032 and a 2031 second round pick. Again, surprising. We were just going to let Micic go. There was no way in the world, and I'm going to use that lightly, there's no way in the world that we were going to employ him for a second time after he kind of just fell off the face of the earth. So, we get Pat Connaughton, who's a good vet. It's pretty dope. I'm liking Pat Connaughton as a good vet, somebody that Con Knipple and Liam McNeely can learn from. He's a good shooter. He's a good hustle player. That's somewhere in line to what we expect from them to be. Surprisingly, we got Mason Plumlee back as a free agent for 1 year. I ain't gonna hold you. I did not see the vision in it. But after a couple days, kind of thinking about it, as a third center on the team, I'm not mad at it. He was signed pretty cheap. He wanted to come here, it looks like. We got him relatively early. So I ain't mad at it. You want to play here? I want you to play here. Then we got our biggest news so far with Trey Mann coming, re-signing back with the team, 3 years, 24 mil. He was somebody that everybody that's a Hornets fan wanted to get him to return. So having him back, a player that was capable of being six man of the year, that was dope. Like we needed him. His back herniated disc was healed. So I mean, we're expecting good things, but maybe we need to kind of temper that because we got to give him a chance to actually play after a back injury like that. So but it's still exciting. Today we signed Spencer Dinwiddie for a 1 year deal. So we're just collecting guards and quality NBA players. A lot of us are expecting us to package some people together because of so many guards that we have. We could possibly get a center forward or one or the other. So I mean, that's our Hornets news. I'm still waiting for some more. Hopefully, we hear some news. And we'll see where it goes. But that's all I got for Hornets news today.
All right. So out of all those additions, which one are you the most excited about?
I think I'm more excited about Trey Mann returning, but then Colin Sexton is up there too. But with him coming being a trade, it's possible we could use him to get somebody else. But I'm really hoping we kind of keep him because a trade man, Colin Sexton, second unit would be amazingly fast paced and pretty dynamic. You throw a Grant Williams in there, you throw a Musa Diabate in there. We got us a good small ball lineup, and I think they'll be capable of, you know, beating some of the other NBA teams' second lineup and actually keeping us in games. Hell, they might actually help us win some. So I'm very excited about that.
I can understand that. So that's your Charlotte Hornets right there from D White here. So let's go ahead and let's get into the NHL part as our Carolina Hurricanes, unfortunately, this year getting to that Eastern Conference championship, falling to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. It hurts. It does, especially with what this team has went through this past year and overcame as well too. The Miko Rantanen deal was a deal that fell through, and this team actually became a lot better. One thing I can say about this squad here that I enjoyed is the fact that from the Miko Rantanen deal, Logan Stankoven came over as a prospect from the Dallas Stars, and he shined. He was incredible. And the Panthers signed him for an 8 year deal. They're going to keep him till about 2031. I'm looking forward to that. Logan Stankoven played very, very well this year. Very happy about that move, hoping that Carolina was going to make that happen. And he was a scoring punch, very young player that played incredible throughout the season. So I'm happy about that. Had some great plays inside of the playoffs. Got the got the Carolina Hurricanes over the hump with certain teams in the Eastern Conference. So I was happy about that. Also, Caden Primo getting signed to a 1 year deal, which is the goaltender from the Montreal Canadiens. One thing about Carolina is that the goaltending kind of let them down around the playoff, around the middle of the playoffs, especially playing the Florida Panthers. That was tough, but Caden Primo being added on, coming from Montreal, happy about that. Tyson Jost coming back for a 1 year contract. But one of the bigger pieces of news here is Keandre Miller being signed, and it was a sign and trade, bringing him from the New York Rangers, bringing him to the Carolina Hurricanes. They did a sign and trade, sent Scott Morrow a conditional first round pick and a 2026 second rounder for Keandre Miller. He signed for an 8 year, $7.5 million deal. They're going to keep him till about the 2030-2031 season. I've got onto social media. There were some people saying that this was too much. They thought that Keandre Miller was a liability for the New York Rangers, but For those who watched the season, the New York Rangers fell off. They lost their captain. They had a horrible trade. Things went down in the locker room. They had a lot of bad things happen in their locker room. But getting Keandre Miller over to the squad here is going to help the blue line, help the defense, which was something that Carolina had a little trouble with inside of the playoffs. After getting past the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Capitals, when the Florida Panthers, who were a very heavily offensive team, were able to stay into the attack zone for well over 5 minutes, attacking Freddie and our goaltenders, it was hard keeping Florida off of the scoreboard. I think this move right here, getting Keandre Miller, is going to help us out on the defensive side. We were getting older on the defense. Bringing a younger player into this system with a great coach like Rod Brind'Amour, who knows how to get the best out of his players, is going to be very, very interesting. Once again, the Hurricanes have a lot to build on from this year. The work that they've put in, great players coming back, adding players on to get past that Eastern Conference Finals and get back to that Stanley Cup. We had one in 05. We were close this year. Let's get back to it. So, with all that being said, that's all your pro sports news from your basketball and your hockey. But of course, what everybody came here for is the Cat Cave. We're here to talk Carolina Panthers football. So,
The blueprint.
the Carolina Panthers dropped another Blueprint episode on their YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you, these videos right here get you hyped up for the season. This is one of the reasons why, maybe not a lot of people are paying attention to Hard Knocks, because a lot of these YouTube channels for football teams are putting out this criteria, putting out these video packages of their teams during training camp. And the Carolina Panthers are a team that many people are having their eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I paid attention to, which of course, Dan Morgan being on the Pat McAfee show, and how Pat McAfee was talking to Dan Morgan about this squad, and how Dan Morgan is basically being an architect of this squad. It is interesting to watch and interesting to see. So, D, what was one thing that you pointed out from this video? I know you've got certain things, but they talked about the defense. They talked about the running game. Talked about the passing game. Give me some of your thoughts on this video here.
Well, one of my first thoughts was that you could tell that things started shifting for them last year. And that's what kind of opened the door for, everybody in the NFL to see the Panthers aren't, the Panthers of the last few years. Bryce Young kind of turned the corner. We got Brant Tillis, who's becoming like a main character. Like, he's not just a numbers guy like he was in Kansas City, from what I heard. But Brant Tillis is somebody that they completely value his opinion. He's their contract guy. He's somebody that he came from Kansas City. He knows championship caliber players and teams, and they leaned on him just as much as anybody on who should we target. And the team showed just right out the beginning a huge amount of support and belief in Bryce Young and J.C. Horn, giving him kind of the opening when it came to his contract. Even though he wasn't, the highest paid cornerback or defensive back in the league that long, they highlighted that in this, and it was great to see. JC earned it, through his just 1 year really of being healthy. I mean, he showed flashes, but last year he was able to put it together. And I mean, the team has shown that he's not only just a focal point, but he's a mainstay. He's one of the foundational pieces that they want to keep around, and it's evident. And it's pretty cool to see. What about you?
One of the things that I took from was a quote from Dave Canales. like at about the beginning of the video, he said, "Take care of the ball, go get it. We're a playoff team."
Hmm.
You know, sometimes it's so simple, it's complicated.
Yeah.
When that set the tone for me, because when Dave Canal said that, then they started going in talking to JC Horn and having JC Horn on, like when he was driving in his vehicle going to the practice facility, talking about him being the highest paid corner, even though that didn't last long. And that's fine. Um, they talked about fixing the defensive line. And that defensive line, it looks really, really good. Got Tershawn Wharton, the defensive tackle from Kansas City, Bobby Brown the third from the Rams. They're looking like a big defensive line. Patrick Jones from Marshville, North Carolina, Union County. I love that. When I saw that he was from Marshville, I was like, really? So Union County. So that's really, really good. He talked about where he went fishing with his grandma and all that when he was young.
Hmm.
And but these guys right here, this defensive line, they're looking really, really big, looking really strong. They talked about how Tershawn Wharton has got abs and he's about 300 pounds.
They
You know,
really focused on him on this episode.
they
Like he
sure
was,
did, didn't they? I,
he
and that
they
was
focused on
and
him early and often.
yes, I think that Kansas City championship culture is what attracts him to this team and how he brings that championship culture. Now, with that being said, you have teams that come from, squads like Kansas City that have won championships. Do you, and this is my opinion, this is me, splitting hairs talking to you about this right here. Do you have a, do you believe in that? Like if a squad came from a team that won a Super Bowl like once or twice removed, a year or twice removed from it, do you think that that is going to rub off on any team at all?
I think it should. Like we haven't had like a really good season in a while, and we're getting guys that are used to winning, that are used to competing, not just for the playoffs, but for actual championships. So having Tershawn Wharton, who's been with OKC and continually winning playoff games, winning seasons, winning Super Bowls. You get Bobby Brown, who's used to winning in LA in big markets, and you get them to come here and mentor guys who the last time some of these guys won was in college.
True.
And it's like obviously we know the jump from college to NFL is pretty significant, but you got guys that have been to the promised land and they're lining up beside you. They're telling you what you need to do. They're telling you how fast and how hard you need to work to get to it. It's something we've needed. We don't have those big boisterous guys like we did when Cam was, running the offense and pushing everybody. We got guys that kind of came in after Cam, well, basically came in after Cam and struggled to get half of what that team had. I mean, our best season in the last few games was what 6, 7 games that we won when
Mm-hmm.
we were competing for championships.
Yes.
So now, like I said, we got Tershawn Wharton, we got Christian Rosebone, we got Bobby Brown, we got, they didn't win too much in Vegas, but we got Trayvon Merrick. Like these are significant upgrades, and these are some guys that they focused on in the blueprint. Trayvon Merrick was somebody that they focused on. Bobby Brown was somebody they focused on. And if you look in the background, it looked like they were focused on him during the draft combine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like these are the guys that you want to bring in to change not only your team but the culture. And that's what the team's been trying to change all off season. Change the culture, build on it, get better. We're a playoff team. We have playoff caliber players. We just can't put it together until now.
I agree. One of the things that stuck out for me as well too when you talked about Christian Roseboom, which I really am high on him. I think they'll do well. That defensive backfield is something that Carolina had to address. The defensive line, something they had to address as well too. And of course, they keyed on Derek Brown as well too. They put Deshaun Wharton, they put Bobby Brown the third, and Patrick Jones, and then later on bring Derek Brown into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like warming it up to saying they're going to be next to this guy. They're going to be playing with this guy who is a centerpiece, a cornerstone for the Panthers. Unfortunately, he lost a lot last year. Did not play last year because of injury. Having him back was a highlight for me. I was very
Oh yeah.
happy about seeing Derek Brown practicing, halfway in pads. It is what it is because it's lighter practices because of the heat. And but it's still good to see Derek Brown mobile and still seeing him fight through it, fight through the practice, like the tackling dummies, getting through, pushing the sled. It was good seeing that because
Yeah.
that brings hope to this team because Derek Brown, when he's playing, he's on, and he's a very good defensive tackle. So it's good seeing that. And we get to the offensive side of the ball. So of course they keyed on Rico Dowdle a good
Of
bit,
course.
and having him and Chuba Hubbard in the backfield, I'm excited about that because we talked about that last like a couple weeks ago. Chuba Hubbard having to be shut down for at the end of the season. They didn't want to run him too much. Chuba was that guy on the offense that was used a lot, and of course overuse is not
Yeah.
good. But having a back like Rico Dowdle who runs hard, runs downhill, runs violently, you saw how Dave Canales was talking about him, having him in the backfield. That's going to alleviate pressure off of Bryce Young in the passing game. And then Hunter Renfro coming in as
Mm-hmm.
receiver, talked about the autoimmune disease that he had when he was with the Raiders and his comeback to the league.
That was
Seeing
very good.
these, like, of course, they spotted the defense a lot, which they should.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing pieces on the offense, how does that make you feel about this offense here?
I'm excited about it. I mean, we we didn't get the results we wanted last year, obviously, but now that people are actually seeing Xavier Leggett practicing and going through drills, they're not just seeing him in music videos or whatever. Now people are excited about him. You see JT Sanders come back. He looked in better shape than he did last year. You see T Mac, Tetaroa McMillan. You see
Yes.
him being an impactful rookie already. And again, you see, like you said, Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. Dowdle might be the better dual threat. But now you got both of them because who did you have with Chuba last year? I'm not prepared to say Miles was a good compliment for him because every time he got the ball, it looked like he didn't know where he wanted to go. He kind of
Mm-hmm.
froze. It seemed like some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got two similar players who can both run and catch out of the backfield. You still got that pretty good offensive line that we had. You got playmakers now. You got Renfro, who, man, I don't know if you've noticed, like every time they do something and he's involved, they're super happy about him. Like they're putting him everywhere. Like you can't not see him being on this team with the amount of coverage they're giving him. So like
Yes.
you got all these influential players and you got a year, what was it, year 3, Bryce,
Year three.
coming in with confidence, coming in with set feet, knowing where to throw the ball, more comfortable, talking, being vocal. It's dope. It's absolutely dope. I love our offense. And again, I don't want to get too overboard with it, but I mean, in just pads and shorts, they're looking good. They're looking better than they did last year. Looking better than they did the year before that. But they also had that continuity. That's the word I'm looking for. They have that continuity with Dave Canales in year 2. He's never had that. I mean,
What I
you lost
gained
your
from
coaches and
no, go
everything.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Upset. You just lost your you you pretty much never had that solid foundation like you did with CJ Stroud. He's had solid foundation since he's been in the league. Bryce is finally getting it. So that's all I got.
Yep, and of course, when you bring up CJ Stroud, of course, that was something that was talked about as well too. These two being drafted around the same time, CJ Stroud having more success is because of that structure that he had with the
Mm-hmm.
squad. You know, Houston was invested in D'Amico Ryans as their head coach in their front office and got pieces around CJ Stroud and was able to do it. Now, this time around, Carolina is looking to put pieces around Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving them a running game, giving him an offensive line that can flourish. Then you turn around on the defensive side of the ball. You have defensive players. You got playmakers on the defensive line. The main attack for the Panthers was to fix the line and fix the defensive backfield safety wise. You've
Mm-hmm.
already got a corner that you're paying a good bit of money in J.C. Horn. You also got to give them the safeties in the backfield. They've got a nickel corner in Trevon Morgan. They've got a nickel corner. They're thinking of putting him as a nickel corner. And he can get after the ball as a
Oh, yeah.
nickel cornerback, as that fifth defensive back. He can get after the ball. Then you're bringing in Christian Roseboom at the safety position as well too. So you have players that can do that as well. So, but Morg, I think he'll be more of a safety than anything. I think he will.
Yeah, he's gonna play everywhere.
Oh yeah, he and just the highlights they had of him getting after the ball, and that was another thing. So it's the Panthers' defense has got to get after the quarterback, hands down,
Definitely.
hands down, because you've got passers in that league. You got you've got a proven passer right now with Baker Mayfield in Tampa, and we don't know what the Saints are going to give us. In Atlanta, verdicts out on Penix Jr., but yet and still, get to the quarterback. Doesn't matter who's back there. Get to the quarterback. Make him make mistakes. His defense pay dividends.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They even highlighted on that with Trevon Merrick how
Yes.
he can go get the ball. That was a highlight on why they wanted him and why they decided to go more of a run defense. Everybody that they chose was somebody that can go get that ball. Roseboom, Merrick, Brown, Jones, Wharton, everybody can attack the ball. And that was the theme of this defense. That's something we missed. That's something we've needed. And now we got it seemingly in abundance.
When we were talking about our all-time defenses last week, that line had guys who could get to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Our Rucker, our Julius Peppers. Then our linebackers, with Keekly, Kevin Green, John Beeson. We were talking about that on with our front four, our 7, 8 guys in the box. We were talking about that. That Panthers culture, that's one of the things that was known about the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
They got after the quarterback. They got after you. And so all 11 guys to the ball. That was what Carolina defense was. All your dominant Carolina teams, the teams that went to the Super Bowl, they were get after you. Your quarterback felt it. Always in the backfield, 11 guys to the ball. That's what has to be what Carolina defense has got to be for this year and from here on out as we go.
Definitely.
But with all that being said, any closing remarks before we exit the cat cave?
I mean, it was just a beautiful episode, man. Like, I don't even want to call it like the blueprint being just uh, a media anything. That was a film. Like every time they do these, they give you hope. They show you tidbits of what we can achieve in the future. And the way that they talked about our defensive acquisitions, Enrico Dowdle, it seems like that's something that we should be happy about. We should be proud of as Panther fans. These guys are dominant players. They're smart. They communicate. They know what they're doing. It didn't seem like we had that a lot over the last few years. And now that we finally have it, we get to see it come together. That may take a little bit of time. They may click pretty quickly. But the fact that we actually have it in Carolina now, and players want to come here, it's amazing to see. And I'm excited. I'm happy about it. I think it's something that we've needed for a long time. We've had hope in other off seasons, but this just feels just slightly different. We actually have players that have produced. So I mean, it's no more looking forward to Shot Tuttle being your starter. Now you got somebody that they talked about. Hey, this guy's 24 and he can play nose tackle and he's amazing. We got this guy that came from Kansas City who's amazing. We got this safety that can line up everywhere, who they showed is a good communicator, knows how to direct people, and he's amazing. And that's not something we've had. Xavier Woods wasn't that guy. He was good for what we needed him for, but I mean, it seems like so far we've upgraded at major positions on the defense. We still have a few more holes, but I mean, we've upgraded so much to the point where, I mean, it's hopeful. That's what I'm gonna leave at. It's hopeful. What about you? What thoughts you got on this?
Now, there was one thing that I did circle is when they were in the meeting together talking about what they wanted to fix. Towards the end of it, they were talking about guys actually want to come and play for the Panthers. They've got this upstart quarterback. And they talked about how, you want Bryce Young. They were talking about Bryce Young. So this is something that is bringing players here. They've got this young guy who looks like he may have an opportunity to thrive in an offense that is actually catered to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dropping him off and saying, here you are in no man's land. They're getting him options. They're getting him options on the pass, like the vertical pass, the forward pass. They're giving him options there, giving him tip, giving him a safety valve tight end, getting him Xavier Legette coming back from injury, giving him a Hunter Renfro that has proven to play very well. He's got over the illness that he had. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he produces like he did when he was with Raiders.
Yeah.
Give him a solid pass, somebody who, other than Adam Thielen, if you cover him, that's your passing game done already. And Bryce has to run for his life. You've got a quarterback who can move his feet. Mm-hmm. That can improvise if needed. But you want to give him an opportunity to excel. You don't want to give him an offense that is catered for him to fail.
Right.
And that, to me, is something that the Panthers didn't do. They gave him options. So if it were to say, hey, maybe it's for them to say, well, if Bryce doesn't do well, we gave him people. We gave him guys. So here's where we go from here and go from here. And then on the defensive side of the ball, where there was questions about where to go. Sorry about that. So I had to get back onto the screen here. Sorry about that. But they're giving them chances on defense to actually thrive, stopping the pass, making sure that they can cover the pass, making sure that they can get after the quarterback. So that way you're not pinning your offense back so far where they have to recover. You're giving them good field position because it's a field position game. It's a game of inches.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not going to get into Any Given Sunday, one of my favorite football movies. Not going to get into that. What we're going to do is we're going to thank you guys for joining us here. Thank you guys for the football talk. Thank you for the Hornets, the Hurricanes talk, and talk on the Blueprint episode. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. You can now exit the Cat Cave. Make sure you join us next week for more Carolina Panthers talk. It's the off season right now, but we're not far away from football. We're actually going to get a football game this month. So this is going to be interesting to see. We are inching closer and closer to the season. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You can now exit the Cat Cave for more. Check us out next week for another exciting episode of the Cat Cave for D White. I'm Shannon Smith. Thank you very much. Go Panthers.
Go Panthers. Keep pounding.